Just a few days ago, this plant looked almost gone. Its leaves were yellow and soft, drooping as if it had lost all will to live. The stems were weak, and there was no sign of the vibrancy it once had. Yet, something curious happened. I didn't add any special fertilizer. I didn't repot it. In fact, I did less, not more. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, it began to show life again. Tiny hints of green emerged, and the leaves that had seemed lifeless began to regain some firmness. If your plant is struggling right now, please don't blame yourself. This is one of the most common situations I see, especially with indoor plants. Most people try to fix it quickly, adding water, fertilizer, or moving it constantly, and that's exactly where things start going wrong. In a moment, I'll show you the one simple shift that can quietly bring a plant back to life, and once you see it, you may never care for your plants the same way again. Before explaining why this happened, it helps to understand what is really going on inside the plant. Sometimes plants appear dead when they are not. Drooping leaves and soft stems can give the impression that life has left them completely, but much of the plant's internal systems may still be functioning. Roots often remain healthy, storing the energy needed to recover. Even when the leaves seem lifeless, the plant may simply be in a protective state, conserving energy until conditions improve. Recognizing this can shift the way we approach a struggling plant, helping us respond with patience rather than panic. Understanding that what you see on the surface doesn't always tell the whole story is the first step toward gentle recovery. One of the most common mistakes people make is trying to do too much. Overwatering, over-fertilizing, and constant repositioning can stress the plant further. While it may seem logical to give the plant more attention, the opposite often works better. Plants need stability and consistent, calm care. Less intervention allows them to use their natural energy to repair themselves. This idea can feel backward at first, but in my experience, stepping back and observing carefully usually leads to better results than immediate action. Observation is the next step in helping a plant recover. Before acting, it is important to study the plant closely. Look at the color of the leaves, check the firmness of the stems, and feel the moisture level of the soil. Noticing subtle changes can reveal whether the plant is responding to its environment or if further care is needed. By taking time to understand what is happening, we can make small, targeted adjustments instead of guessing at the problem. Observation builds both knowledge and confidence. Sometimes a small, overlooked factor can trigger a surprising response. Adjusting the angle of sunlight, allowing a little more air circulation, or modifying humidity slightly can encourage leaves to perk up. These are not dramatic interventions, but gentle changes that create conditions for the plant to activate its recovery. It is often the quiet, almost invisible adjustments that produce the first signs of improvement, and they reinforce the idea that we do not need to overcomplicate care. Checking the roots can reveal the real story behind the plant's condition. Healthy roots are usually firm and lightly colored, while roots that are overly wet or decaying signal trouble. Gently examining the roots can help determine whether the plant still has the potential to recover. In many cases, plants that appear almost dead above ground have roots capable of sustaining new growth. This understanding allows us to approach care with confidence and reduces the temptation to overwater or repot unnecessarily. There are moments when the signs of recovery become undeniable. A drooping leaf slowly straightens, a pale tip shows a hint of green, or a weak stem begins to support itself again. These moments are often subtle, but they are reassuring. They show that the plant is responding to gentle care and that patience is paying off. Observing these small victories helps us remain calm and focused, rather than rushing to intervene with unnecessary actions. The key to this process is a simple adjustment that changes everything. For many plants, a slight modification in watering routine, combined with careful observation and environmental awareness, is enough to activate recovery. This is not a complicated trick, and it does not require expensive products or drastic measures. It relies on giving the plant exactly what it needs, when it needs it, and avoiding unnecessary stress. This approach emphasizes calm, steady care and encourages a trusting relationship between gardener and plant. The environment around a plant matters more than many people realize. Temperature, light, and humidity all influence how a plant responds. Indoor conditions can differ greatly from outdoor climates, and even small variations can affect growth. Recognizing these differences helps us make informed adjustments. For example, a plant may need more indirect light or a slightly warmer room to recover effectively. By paying attention to these details, we can support the plant without overwhelming it with intervention. Another common misunderstanding is the assumption that fertilizer will always speed recovery. Adding nutrients too soon can stress a struggling plant, especially if the roots are still weak. Fertilizer works best when the plant is ready to absorb it, not as an immediate fix. Patience and observation are more effective than frequent feeding, and waiting for signs of strength before adding nutrients can make a noticeable difference. This approach helps prevent unintentional harm and encourages a calmer gardening experience. Gentle cautions are important during the recovery phase. Avoid moving the plant too often, overhandling the leaves, or overwatering in an attempt to speed progress. These well-intentioned actions can cause stress and slow recovery. Instead, allow the plant to settle into a stable environment, and check progress gradually. Simple, steady habits create the best conditions for long-term growth, and they reduce frustration for gardeners. Noticing tiny changes in a plant can make a big difference over time. Observing slight shifts in leaf color, soil moisture, or stem firmness allows us to respond appropriately. These observations do not require daily intervention but build awareness and understanding. By paying attention to subtle signs, we can encourage growth while allowing the plant to follow its natural rhythms. This careful, patient approach often leads to better outcomes than constant action. Plants can surprise us when given the right conditions. Even those that seemed nearly lost can recover, showing new leaves or firming stems over time. These improvements may appear slowly, but they are consistent and reliable when care is calm and steady. By trusting the process and observing patiently, gardeners can see progress without unnecessary worry. These moments reinforce confidence and the value of gentle guidance. Finally, there is a simple lesson from this process: do less, and you often get more. Patient observation, minimal interference, and careful attention to the plant's needs allow recovery to happen naturally. Sometimes the garden improves when we simply step back and observe. By following this philosophy, we not only support the plant's health but also enjoy a calmer, more rewarding gardening experience. If you're comfortable sharing, I'm curious how often you water your indoor plants, as small habits can make a difference in their recovery.